All right, hello, Programming 12. We are taking a look at the algorithm for making our darkness grid, or all our darkness cells. You may have already solved it, and that's great, but in case you haven't, I wanted to go over the algorithm for how that you would lay down all of the darkness cells in a grid. So, they got to be tight, and I expanded them nice and large so you can see sort of, all the individual squares so we can go over the loop together. So this loop is going to be really important for, other parts of our project as we go forward. We're going to have some additional features that will use a similar algorithm that will have to lay things out as a grid. In particular, over here in the corner is the mini map. So the mini map is going to also be processed. It's a grid of pixels, and it's actually being drawn from a smaller image, right? The PNG that we were loading all of our room information from. So that's going to be important, and I think we should go over it before we go further. Okay, so here's basically how I make all the darkness cells, and essentially write a loop to process grid type shapes and made up of many smaller cells. So first of all, I'm starting at 0, 0. And basically what I'm saying is I'm going to start in the top left-hand corner. So if I bring that up, 0, 0. Oh, hello. That's not what I meant to do. I don't know. What is it? I'll just run it. I'm sorry. Here we are. Dungeon crawl. All right. So here we are in the top corner. That's 0, 0. I'm actually drawing these without rect mode center. You could, start this at half the width, half the size, and for either one, and draw the centers. It wouldn't really be a big deal. It would be pretty easy. So I don't know. I just found the math easier if I thought about rect mode corner. So I'm starting at 0, 0. So that's going to make that darkness cell. So basically, just so we can see it, I'm making the darkness cell right here. So don't think about the loop too much just right now. Just ignore that for a second and focus your eyes on this line of code. If there was no while loop here, I'd make a darkness cell at 0, 0, and it would be 50, tall and 50 wide. So that's great. So the next thing is that I want to do is I want to add size to x. That's going to allow me to move forward. Oh, I don't know. Is this it? Yeah, I got it. It's going to move me 50 over so that I can put in the next one. And, this if statement's not true. So basically I come back around. Again, we'll ignore the condition for a second, and we'll make another darkness cell. So that's going to be the same y coordinate, but x will be 50 over. And we're going to keep doing this. We're going to make a darkness cell here and a darkness cell here. Because the y condition, the y variable is not changing, so it's still going to be less than height. If it was true here, it's going to be true here. And we just end up going across the row, all across the row. So that's essentially what we're doing. But eventually we get to the end of the row, and this if statement triggers. So the if statement will trigger when x is greater than the width. When does that happen? Well, it happens as soon as we go off the screen, right? As soon as it gets over to here. After it makes this one, it goes off the screen, so that if statement will trigger it. What does it do? It basically says x equals 0 and increase y by size. So if it's x is 0, we're going all the way back to the beginning. And then increase y means we go down to the next row. And then this is no longer going to be true, right? Because now x is 0, so it's not going to be greater than width. So this will happen again. So we're just, hey, that was easier. So then we'll just go straight across here. And eventually we get to the end. We'll come back to the beginning and go down and then go straight across here. So this while loop is a fantastic while loop for processing a grid of things. Now technically there is a faster way involving a for loop. Sorry, it's not faster. It's just as fast in terms of its performance, but there's a slightly easier way to code it. It looks a little bit cleaner. And we could talk about it, and maybe I'll make that an extension activity later on. Some people, prefer it. But for now, I think this is the ideal sort of thing because it uses all the stuff you've seen before, and you know how these features work. Okay, so there you go. So that's basically my answer for how did I lay out the darkness cells. Sorry, I can't seem to center this. Some people have been wondering about this 1000 and they've seen it in my code, so they put it in there. The 1000 is just, it's not really a good number or anything. I just have it here to pre-size, like reserve a certain amount of memory for my array list. I don't know why I put in 1000. 1000 is a pretty terrible number. I should put in like, the number of cells. So that would be width divided by size times height divided by size. That's what that would be. That's the number of cells, right? If you're calculating the area of that grid, then that's what it would be. So it would predetermine the amount of things I want to put on my array list. It's not like an array. Like it's not saying like this is how big it's going to be. It's not making anything in there. It's just reserving that amount of memory. So that would be better. And I guess I screwed something up. So you know what? Actually, I'm just going to delete that. I'm not actually sure what's wrong with that. Oh, it's a comment. Yeah. You can just leave it off, and it'll be fine. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. So anyways, that's the darkness grid, and I think that will be helpful for our next step, which is the mini map. So stay tuned for our next video on the mini map. Thank you.